Hello, YouTube, and welcome back to another episode of All Fights, where we look at every single fight these two characters have had until now. Thor and Silver Surfer tend to compete for the top hero position typically in Marvel. Both of them can do pretty much anything that they want, and they've had a fair amount of fights, including some non-canon ones that won't count for the actual score, but I'll stick in the video. As usual, I'll determine who wins based on a KO, death, overwhelming advantage, BFR, etc., as long as both opponents are aware that they're fighting. First things first, though, I got engaged, boys. Life's going well. And their first fight came from Silver Surfer number 4 and produced one of the most iconic covers in all of comic history. And because of that, it's had homage paid to it a lot of times. I mean, a lot of times. And I do mean a lot of times. I actually have it on my wall in my office. For this fight, Silver Surfer gets manipulated by Loki to attack Thor, with Loki adding his own powers on top of Silver Surfer to give him more power than he's ever felt, per Surfer's own admission. The fight is very competitive, and Thor showcases some of his versatility by not only blocking Silver Surfer's blasts, but by forcing them off their trajectory and absorbing them with his hammer. It's a good first fight, and by the end, Thor is starting to get overwhelmed by a combination of getting his hammer bubbled and Silver Surfer blasting him. Thor's not down, and in fact, he's not really all that hurt either, in the sense that he was like starting to lose steam or anything, but he was definitely on the receiving end of the attack at the end of the fight. Now, you'd think this would be a win to score for Surfer, but Silver Surfer remarks that this result doesn't make a lot of sense. He determined early on that Mjolnir is above his power cosmic, and because of that, he's confused as to why he's doing so well. And then he mentions that Thor doesn't seem to be fighting like his heart is in it. But Thor certainly wasn't winning, and it's hard to call it a draw when Thor was on the losing end there at the end of it. So I think it's fair to give that first fight to Silver Surfer, making the score 1-0 in favor of Norrin Rad. Round 2 takes place during a team battle, in Avengers Annual number 11, where the Avengers are trying to speak some sense into the Defenders, and Thor is fighting Valkyrie. The OG Valkyrie, Brunhilde, not Jane. I can't have a unique identity Foster, who stole the name because she's not interesting enough to sell comic books on her own, or even with a stolen name since her Valkyrie run was quickly cancelled. Anyways, the conflict happens in two fights for this one issue. The first fight between the two, Silver Surfer attacks the Avengers and knocks them to the ground. Thor comments saying he almost slayed them, but that's very clearly not true, because something that can almost slay Thor will certainly slay Iron Man and Captain America, who were caught in the blast with him. Thor didn't know he was fighting, so no point here. We'll call it a draw. The next fight, Silver Surfer blindsides Thor while he's still fighting Valkyrie and stuns him. But once again, Thor did not know he was fighting Silver Surfer, and he got blindsided. So no point there either. We'll chalk that up to another draw. Silver Surfer then goes on to stalemate with Iron Man in a mutual KO, which is crazy to consider since this was Iron Man's roller skates armor. Okay, round 4, and this is where this competition starts to go south for one of them real fast, because the two don't fight again for quite some time. Avengers Annual number 11 came out in 1982, and they don't meet again until Silver Surfer number 86, which came out in 1993. So 11 years for this next encounter, and the next time Silver Surfer runs into Thor, Thor is going through some minor mental health issues. You see, at this point of his career, Thor's powers had been split to Eric Masterson, as well as Beta Ray Bill. Every time something like that happened to him, it left Thor feeling incomplete, like his spirit was getting split. After which, Thor is controlled by the goddess during the Infinity War event, and in response to this, Thor falls into a deep depression that had Odin send him away from Asgard to find himself. And that was one bad move too many, because Thor snaps. Thor turns into what in real life would be a violent, paranoid schizophrenic with a bone to pick, and everyone he fights is about to see it firsthand. Like I said, round 4 takes place in Silver Surfer number 86, otherwise known as Blood and Thunder Part 2. After beating Beta Ray Bill, Silver Surfer holds Thor off long enough for Beta Ray to get another crack at Thor. Thor puts Beta Ray down again and then rushes to finish off Silver Surfer. After an exchange of the two, Thor lets go of his hammer, and Silver Surfer tries to close the gap on Thor, and one of the most poorly thought out moves, probably in comic book history, because the hammer gets back to Thor's hand faster than Silver Surfer can make it to him. Mind you, Thor was wide open and in space, and Silver Surfer has more ranged attacks than you can count, and he chose to go into a melee distance with Thor. Thor knocks Silver Surfer out cold, landing a solid win for Thor. Next up, in round 5, we take a look at Warlock and the Infinity Watch number 23. Thor losing his mind became cosmic news pretty quickly. Word was spreading that Thor was tearing up anyone in his way. And Adam Warlock came in to help Silver Surfer after Surfer lost. Since this was after the events of the Infinity Gauntlet, Adam Warlock had the Soul Gem, and he could see the hallucinations that were plaguing Thor. Silver Surfer and Adam Warlock team up, bubbling Mjolnir and then attacking Thor's soul. It is worth mentioning, the Infinity Gems, yep, that's what they were called in the comics before the movies, give you total control over the area governed by the gem if you know how to use it. There are 2 people who stand at the top of Masters of the Infinity Gems. The first is Thanos, and then it's Adam Warlock. That means that Adam Warlock can use his powers to basically snuff Thor's soul out until further notice, making him go catatonic. And this is exactly the strategy that he goes for. And he fails miserably. Thor blasts both Surfer and Adam Warlock away from them and knocks the pair out before Surfer's board rescues the pair. Another solid and devastating win for Thor. For the next round, we go to the Mighty Thor number 470. And this takes place after Thor beats the Infinity Watch again, and where the heroes understand no one is going to be tag teaming Thor with any success. So they bring Gamora, Drax the Destroyer, Maxim, Doctor Strange, Moondragon, who had the Mind Gem at the time, Adam Warlock with his Soul Gem, and Silver Surfer. So it's 6-on-2 with 2 of the Infinity Gems. The 2 brutes engage Thor in hand-to-hand, while Silver Surfer and the Flyers use massive amounts of long-distance attacks, attacking Thor spiritually, magically, cosmically, and physically, as well as in hand-to-hand. Thor's now brought to life hallucination handles Moondragon in the meantime, and unfortunately for the group, during Thor's last encounter with the Infinity Watch, where Thor resists the Mind Gem, by the way, which could have enhanced Moondragon's psychic attacks infinitely, he knocked the Power Gem out of Drax the Destroyer, and now he was using it. Lucky for them, Thor in this state had next to zero control of it. He could only use it passively to increase his strength like an inch at a time. The Power Gem increases strength from all areas though, including your force of will, and Thor increases his powers so high, he turns back the Soul Gem on Adam Warlock and Doctor Strange, then proceeds to one-shot Silver Surfer. Surfer did manage to block a direct blast from basically Broly Thor, so he deserves some credit for that, but that is another win for Thor, making it 3-1. Now, on to the next fights. These next fights are going to be kind of disappointing, because this event was hailed as Thor versus Silver Surfer and Odin versus Galactus. And when you hype up your event like that, you'd think, well, let me just tell you, the Mighty Thor number 1 through 6 go over how Galactus and Silver Surfer come to Earth looking for the cosmic egg or something. I don't know, it's fucking stupid. And I wish I could tell you why. It's a plot line that says Galactus wants it for immortality, even though he's like much older than Odin. Then it's like to satisfy Galactus' hunger permanently. Then it never gets brought up again that I know of. This arc contains some of the best art and cover art for Thor comics ever, and some of the worst dialogue and plot lines I have ever seen. Thor at one point refers to Silver Surfer as the bald and glinting bastard, which, while is kind of funny, at no point prior nor since has Thor ever talked that way. And you'll find that Matt Fraction did a lot of stuff like that when he took over Thor. And this is also the beginning of Odin being a raging, paranoid alcoholic, and Marvel did keep that much of his personality for him, unfortunately. Now, for context, Thor has an open cosmic wound in his stomach in all of the following fights. It bleeds all the time, and it hurts Thor so bad that he starts to sweat while standing, which is pretty crazy given Thor's pain tolerance. Thor, in fact, thinks he's going to die from it, but he dies later for other reasons. Now, on to the first fight. In issue number 2 and 3 of the Mighty Thor, Silver Surfer threatens Odin to give him the cosmic egg, and Thor saves him from death by Odin by throwing Mjolnir at him. Silver Surfer blasts at Thor, who blocks it. Thor then charges at him, and since Silver Surfer blocked his hammer swing, Thor headbutts Silver Surfer so hard he dents Surfer's skull, which I didn't know you could do. Surfer then hits Thor with his board while he's distracted and says some gibberish, which is a Matt Fraction classic. Now, keep track of Thor throwing his hammer and then Surfer hitting him with his board, because both fighters will fall for this trick every single time they fight in the arc. That's the end of the first fight, though, and that is a draw. Next up in the Mighty Thor number 4, Thor and Surfer meet in space, and Thor, get this, throws his hammer, and Surfer hits him with his board. You see where this is going. The fight gets interrupted slightly because Thor sidesteps Silver Surfer and charges straight at Galactus, which is pretty cool, I gotta admit, taking a chunk off his helmet while he's busy fighting Odin psychically. Surfer sees this and he hits Thor at easily light speed and takes him to Mars. Originally, I was going to split this into 2 fights, but they don't really stop fighting, so I'll count it as 1. Silver Surfer slams Thor into Mars, where he actually kind of hurts himself, and then Thor gets up and crashes Mjolnir into him, staggering Silver Surfer momentarily. The fight then goes on to the next issue, where Surfer gets up and blasts Thor with his sick panel, knocking Thor back a little. Then, just to spice things up, Thor, wait for it, he throws Mjolnir at Silver Surfer, and Surfer, oh, you're not going to believe it, hits Thor with his board. Bold move, Matt Fraction. I didn't sign up for these twists and turns, you little trickster. And that's the end of their fighting. Oh, it's like I'm 16 all over again. Well, I guess they headbutt each other and they say literal gibberish at one another. If someone can decipher this sentence for me, mercy is nothing born to ride the cosmic winds, I'll pin the comment. So, no winner here, that's a draw. Now, that is the end of their canon fights up until now, until 2025. But we have 3 non-canon fights left for the 2. Okay, let's take a look at these non-canon fights, but I don't know, guys. I don't know if my expectations can be subverted as good as Matt Fraction just did. The first we're going to take a look at is from What If Silver Surfer Had Not Betrayed Galactus? And Silver Surfer has a brief but intense fight with Thor, where he just vaporizes Thor. Straight up kills him. I'd say that's a win for Silver Surfer. And the next non-canon fight is from What If the Avengers Had Fought Galactus? And it's a really fun comic, which I recommend you all read when you get the chance. It's got a beautiful classic vibe to it because it is a classic comic. And Thor and Surfer go at it again, and Surfer puts a cosmic bubble on Mjolnir, which reverts Thor after 60 seconds back to Donald Blake, winning him another round, since that certainly counts as an overwhelming advantage. And the last non-canon fight that they have is one panel from Marvel Zombies 2, where Zombie Thor knocks Silver Surfer out of the sky with a piece of concrete he attached to a stick to represent Mjolnir. But no further action comes from it, which means we have no winner here or a draw. There is another fight between the 2 where What If Thor was a Herald of Galactus, which, spoilers, this isn't so what if later on. But that's not Norrin Rad as Silver Surfer, and those are the only fights I'm going to count for this video. And there you have it, folks. That's 3-1 in favor of Thor currently for canon victories over one another, with 4 draws. And 3-3 with 5 draws if we give Silver Surfer the benefit of his non-canon fights. Which we won't. But we could, but I absolutely will not. Thanks for watching, everyone. I've been meaning to do that for a while. Before I go, this is Flapjack. Say hi, Jack. He's a worshiper of Odin and distrusts the government. He's a good guy. He also pees on the carpet, and he chews on my shoes a lot. Let me know what you think, and if you like this style, I'll do more, my friends. See you all in the next one.